1.2.1.6 Describe Azure Management Infrastructure. Summary. Azure's infrastructure is built using resources, resource groups, and subscriptions. Resources are fundamental units like virtual machines and databases, organized into resource groups. These groups facilitate resource management by acting as containers that can group, delete, or manage resources together. Subscriptions work as management and billing units, organizing resource groups and facilitating access control. Each subscription connects to an Azure account, allowing tailored billing and access models. You can create additional subscriptions for different needs, such as development, billing, or security, supporting fine-tuned resource access management. Management groups provide a broader organizational structure over subscriptions, beneficial for large-scale governance. They allow hierarchical application of policies and user access across multiple subscriptions. Management groups promote secure and unified resource management by inheriting governance settings through all nested subscriptions and resources. Describe Azure Management Infrastructure. To effectively manage projects in Azure, it is important to understand the organization structure that includes Azure resources, resource groups, subscriptions, and accounts. Azure resources and resource groups. In Azure, every element that you create or manage, like virtual machines, networks, or services, is known as a resource. Resource groups are collections of resources, and every resource must belong to one. They simplify management tasks, allowing actions like deletion or access control to apply to all resources in a group. A resource can only belong to one resource group at a time. Moving a resource to a new group disconnects it from the previous one, offering flexibility in organization. Resource groups cannot contain other resource groups. This means you cannot have a group inside another, maintaining a flat structure. When you perform an action on a resource group, all resources within it are equally affected. Deleting a group removes all its resources, and controlling access affects all group members. Choosing how to group your resources is crucial. For instance, grouping temporary development resources enables easy removal by deleting the group later. There are no strict rules for resource group usage. Setup should reflect your specific needs, whether it's managing access or simplifying resource removal. Azure subscriptions. In Azure, subscriptions help organize and manage resource groups and handle billing, just like resource groups organize resources. To use Azure, you need an Azure subscription. It gives you verified access to Azure services and the ability to set up resources. An Azure subscription is connected to an account, which is a verified identity in Microsoft Entra ID, and can have more than one subscription. In accounts with several subscriptions, you can choose different billing methods and access rules. This helps in managing and organizing access to resources. Azure uses subscriptions to create boundaries, including billing boundaries that help manage costs and access control boundaries that set up different access levels. Creating more subscriptions can help separate resources based on function or billing needs, like creating separate development and testing environments. By organizing subscriptions, you can reflect organizational structures and manage costs efficiently, like different departments having their own subscription rules. Azure Management Groups. Management groups are an important part of Azure's organizational structure. Resources in Azure are organized into resource groups, which are then organized into subscriptions. If you have multiple applications, development teams, or work across different regions, managing resources can become complex. Azure's management groups help manage access, policies, and compliance across these different subscriptions. Subscriptions are grouped into management groups, allowing you to apply the same rules and policies across all of them. This system allows for scalable, enterprise-level management, and these management groups can be layered or nested for added structure. Management group, subscriptions, and resource group hierarchy. Management groups and subscriptions can be used to create a hierarchy to manage resources efficiently. This structure allows for consistent policy application and access control across the organization. An example of this hierarchy is depicted in a diagram, illustrating how governance can be achieved using management groups to organize resources. You can organize management groups in a way that applies specific policies, like limiting virtual machine locations to the U.S. West region in a group named Production. These policies cascade down through all subscriptions related to that management group, and they cannot be modified by resource or subscription owners, enhancing security and governance. If you have multiple subscriptions, you can group them under a management group. This makes it easier to assign user access through Azure Role-Based Access Control, Azure RBAC, policies, which cascade permissions to all underlying resources. This centralized method saves time and effort compared to scripting permissions for each subscription. Management groups can host up to 10,000 groups in a single directory, providing a scalable structure for organizing and managing resources within an organization to ensure efficient operation and coordination across different teams or departments. A management group tree can extend up to 6 levels in depth, not counting the root or subscription levels. This structure assists in the logical organization of various groups, allowing complex hierarchies that reflect the organization's needs and policies. Each management group or subscription can only be linked to one parent, forming a clear hierarchical structure within the directory. This limitation helps maintain a straightforward and manageable organization of resources and policies. The use of management groups in Azure allows for enhanced management, security, and governance across an organization's resources by simplifying policy application and user access while maintaining a clear and scalable structure.